Hello, welcome back. This is where we left off. We've got the reference images set up, and in this video I'm going to start by blocking out his head. So zoom in a bit so I can see it. And one more thing, if you click on the scene build folder, which I've got here, everything I bring in will appear in that folder. If you click on the references, it'll bring everything into the reference folder, which is locked down, so you might not be able to move it. So always make sure you click on the folder that you want your parts to come into. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Shift A, mesh, and I'm going to bring in a cube. And this is going to be his head. So we'll scale that down just a bit, grab it on the Z. Now it may seem funny using a cube for the head, but what I'm going to do is do a Control 3, and that will subdivide that cube 3 times. So if we come over here to the spanner, or the wrench as the Americans call it, and you can see that side of the subdivision surface modifier 3 times. But if I tab into the cube, you can see it's still a cube, so that helps us in a way. Those images are a bit faint for me to see. I should have modified them a bit. I can click on the top face now. We'll go to 1, and we'll start by grabbing that on the Z and dragging it up, and I'll scale it on the X and try and get it into shape a little bit before we start. I'll go to the side view and I'll scale it on the Y and bring that into shape a little bit. At the minute we're just shaping it, so, and then I'm going to put a loop cut in. I'll do a Control R and I'm going to loop cut across the centre that way. Let's go to 1, and I'll come down. Oh, I forgot you've got your 3 buttons across the top here. This one's vert select, that means you can grab the vertices. This one's edge select, you grab the edges, and then face select. And we're going to grab the face at the bottom. We'll go to 1 and scale it on the X. Grab it on the Z and bring it up a bit to about there. And we're just trying to find the shape at the minute. Scale it on the Y. So I think I need another loop cut down here. And grab that loop cut up on the Z, bring it up. And then we'll scale that on the X, and that should start to bring his cheeks out a bit. We'll come back in, grab the top face again, and it's just a lot of pushing and pulling to get the mesh into shape. And if you do a Control Z on the keyboard, you can go into X-ray mode, but I can't see that thing. So scale that on the X, and we'll try and pull it back in a bit, and you can see now we're getting a bit of shape to it. We'll go to preview, side view I should say, scale that on the Y and bring it in this way, and you can see it's starting to take shape a bit. So we'll come back into edge select, and we'll grab the back edge and the front edge, and we're going to side view again, and we'll scale that on the Y, and that pulls it out like that. That's scaling it on the Y axis is giving us a shape at the front. So if we tab out, you can see we're starting to get the shape now. You don't want to stretch the mesh too much and get it out of alignment, so I think that's not far out what I'm looking for. I could do with a little bit more shape at the top of his head, Let's just do a bit of experimenting. I'm just going to try and inset, see what that does. Let's have a look. One, grab it on the Z. I think I've got the wrong face there. I have. It's the top one I want. I'm just experimenting with it to see what this does. That's better. Let's do an inset, not unwrap. Inset. There we go. Let's go to one. Yeah, I think that's flattened the top of his head out. That's more what I'm looking for. Let me look at a reference image of him again and see if the top of his head is round or flat. The top of his head's got a slight oval to it. So back into here. I think I'll take that inset out. I think I was happy with it the way it was. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that for now. I've got the basic edge shape near enough. So tab out of that and grab it on the Z, take it up a little bit because we've got his... No, I can't. No, I'm going to go to the side view first, make sure he's right. Yeah. Can I scale it down a little bit? Just a fraction. There. I also want enough room to get the neck in now. So I'm going to do a Shift A. No, well, that's the head in place. In fact, I'll rename that. I always rename them because when you've got all the parts in, you don't want to be moving between different ones. They're all called cube. Shift A, mesh, I'll bring in another cube and I'll add another subdivision to it, and these will all be taken away when I join it together. Grab it on the Z, bring it up, scale it down like that, and this is going to be, this wants to be inside the head because when you come to join it, all this mesh has to be touching. I think what I'll do is I'll just grab the bottom there. Let's go back to 3 and I'll just drag it down a bit on the Z. Let's go to 1 and I'll scale that on the X, bring it out a bit. Press slash on your keyboard, that'll bring it into isolation, and I'll grab the top cube, slash again, put it back and scale that on the X, and let's try and shape this neck a bit. I don't know where it comes out. I'll go, just a minute, back to the reference image again. It's a bit hard to tell from that, but I'm looking to see where his neck goes. Does it go in or out? His neck flares out at the top towards the head. So let's make sure we've got the right face, and I'll scale, not extrude, scale that on the X like that. Come to the bottom face, 1, scale that on the X and bring it in like that, so we're pulling the shape of the neck in. Let's go to 3, isolation again, grab the top one and I'll scale that on the Y and pull it out a bit like that, so we're forming the shape of the head at the top. Well, we're trying to follow the contours of the head. I'll grab the bottom one, oops, into side view, scale that on the Y and bring that in a bit, just trying to get that shape. And it doesn't matter about it being perfect at this stage because this is just blocking out, but the closer we can get now, the more it will help it later on. So that's the neck. And that next I'll do a tab out and I'll do a Shift A, no, Shift A, and I'll bring in another mesh and another cube, and now we're going to start forming the torso now. So Control 3, scale that down, grab it on the Z and bring it up, and you can see his start spinner at the top and slightly bevels out as he goes down. So I think I'll do this in a series of these cubes. So let's go to side view. Yeah, I want to flare out of it, so I'll do a Shift D, bring that down on the Z like that, and I think I'll just scale this one out just a fraction like that. And like I said, I'm not looking for perfection at this point. Let's scale that on the X. I can scale that on the X a little bit, because all this section round here I can pull that into shape when I do my remesh. So let's go to 3. Yeah, that's not too bad, I don't think. I'll do that. I'll Shift D on the Z, bring that down again, and I want to get them overlapping halfway if I can. That'll help me a bit. Let's go to 3, and I'll grab that on the Y and bring it forward just a fraction because he has a slight bow at the back. Let's go to 1, and you can see the reference images are out of alignment just a little bit. They're alright. Shift D, Z, bring it down again halfway, and I might just do that one more time. Shift D, Z, Shift D, Z, just a minute, grab it on the Z. Have I got the right one? Yeah, I have. And just bring it down to form the crotch at the bottom. There. Let's go to 3. And like I said, I'll shape this more when I come to do the actual modelling, because this is just getting a rough block out at the minute. Now I'm going to bring in his arms now. So I'll do another Shift A and bring in another cube and do a Control 3, subdivide it, scale that down and grab it and put it there on his arm like that. That's a bit too big, so I'll scale that down again. If I tab into the cube, I think I might be better off rotating it. So let's go to 1, and what you can do is you can rotate that cube like that. I'm just wondering, no, I think I won't, no. I can pull it out this way instead. What I want is to grab that face, let's go to 1, grab it on the X and pull it out just a little bit like that. Because now we're bringing his arms out this way. Then I'll do a Shift D, X, bring it out half of the cube, just so it's not too, so they haven't got so much of a ridge round for me to fill in. Take it back a bit more, grab it on the X. Right, like that. He hasn't got very long arms, so we don't have to go that far. We'll do a Shift D, X, bring it out again like this. And again, I must iterate, this is a rough block out. Grab it on the X, it's not going to look perfect yet. And I think that's about long enough for his arms. I'll grab that, Shift D, X, bring that out a bit more like that. And what I'm going to do this time is, because he has like his hands like flare out at the front, I'm going to scale that on the Y to make his hand a bit thinner at the front, and then I'm going to scale it on the X, scale it on the Z I mean, to bring his hand up a bit. We're just looking for that shape at the minute. I'll do E on the keyboard, that'll give me an extrusion, and grab it on the X, pull that out, grab it on the X Let's have a look at him, what we got. No, I think that's a bit, that shape's wrong. Take it back. I think I'll just scale it on the Z. I'm trying to get that flare at the front of his hand. You see the hands, what you'll do if you come into top view, that hand will rotate like that and then drag it out, and you'll have like a slight bend in the hand. And I can put a loop cut in there, grab that end, grab it on the Y and drag it back a bit like that. But I think that's, no, I think I'll put the, no, I think I will. I'm going to leave it like that for now, and I'll put the bevel in when I get it all moulded into a mesh. But what I want now is I want the fingers in. Yeah, I'll put the fingers in now. There is an add-on called Extra Objects. So if you come up here, you come up to Edit, Preferences, we'll go to Add-ons, and we're looking for Extra. And you've got your extra objects there. And if you click on it, that little drop down arrow, it'll give you a brief description of what it does. So what we're looking for, if I go back into front view, I'll do a Control A, tab out first, Control A, I'm looking for down here somewhere, where are you? I'm looking for a rounded cube. And I've moved it in this version. Oh, I mean mesh, that's why. Mesh. Single vert. Oh, just a minute. Shift A, mesh. Where they moved it to? It was called Extra Objects in the other version. There we are, extras. And I'm looking for a rounded cube, which for some reason is not there. Oh, there, rounded cube. Right, scale that down. Just a minute. Wrong one. Shift A, mesh. I want the rounded cube again, but I forgot to change it here in the presets. In the drop down, you're looking for a capsule. That's what I'm looking for. Now we've got to start with a finger, so we'll scale that down like that. Scale it on the Z, and I'll grab it and move it into position. Scale it down like that. If I bring it into isolation, bring that into isolation, tab into it, and I'll do an Alt Z to go into X-ray mode. I can see all the verts at the bottom, all the faces. I want to select those and scale them out. Get off that. Scale them out like that. Because I'm looking for the thickness at the bottom of the foam. Take that out of X-ray. Let's go to front view and scale that down. And at this point, I better turn those reference images off because they're just causing me problems now. I'll come back later to them. Grab that, grab it to something there like that. He hasn't got the most chubbiest fingers, but so put that there like that. Rotate it a bit, just a fraction. And they're not going to be perfect, they're just going to be there because he's got them on his hands. They're not going to be doing anything, not going to animate him at all. Rotate that a bit, and what I can do is I can do a Shift D, bring that up a bit if I want, rotate that one, grab it, and I can put another one on top like that so it's got a bend in it, but as I said, I don't need that one. They're just going to be there for fingers, just for show basically. And I'll do a Shift D on that, bring it to there, rotate, where's it gone? Grab it, rotate it, and try and put it into the hand then. Let's go to 3, grab that on the Y, and make sure it's set into the hand, because if you look, the thumb is always further back than the rest of the fingers. Rotate that, and I think I'll just give him 3 fingers. Shift D, bring that to there, rotate it. Now one of the things is you want to leave a big enough gap between the fingers, because when we come to remesh it, the smaller you go, these fingers will join together and you don't want that. So make sure you leave a big enough gap between the fingers that doesn't happen. And I'll do one more, Shift D, rotate that round and grab that and put that into place there like that. And that should be alright for now. The thumb, I think the thumb can rotate forward a little bit. So let's rotate that like that and drag it down into the mesh, so make sure it's connecting. And one more thing now, on the hand I'll just grab the face of that cube and grab it on the Y and bring it forward just a little bit, just so it blends in with that other cube as much as possible. And what's that? Hang on, X. I've got a empty axis in, that's what I'm with. I thought it was funny. Grab it on the Y, bring it forward again, and I'm just trying to line it up with that one so it's not as much clay to remove. So that is the hand. Now it's only got one, so I'll show you how we do this. We'll do minimize that. I'll do a add a modifier, add a mirror, and I'm going to mirror it around him. So I'll click the pipette, click his torso, and that puts it on the other side. But I've only got one, so I want to click on each one of these. I'll click on that one, Control A, all transform, set origin to geometry, Control A to minute, no, cancel that, Control A, all transform, set origin to the geometry, which will put it, I'll put the geometry right back in the middle of the finger, that one, Control A, all transform, set origin to geometry, set origin to geometry, I could have just merged them together and then done this, but I just want to show you how you mirror them over when you've got loads of them like this. So what you do is you click on that one, that one, that one, that one by holding down your Shift and clicking on them, that one, that one. That should give me my fingers and my palm. I'll click on that one as well, so I've got another one there. And then you click on the last one, and this is the one you want. You can tell because it's highlighted orange. I'll do a Control L on my keyboard and I'll copy the modifiers, and that will mirror it over to the other side for us. So that's his head, his torso and his hands in place. So I'm going to end this video here because I don't know how long I've been going. I get carried away when I get modelling. And I'll be back in the next one where we'll put in some legs in place. So I say thank you for watching, and I'll be back in the next one.